So I just had this back and forth with a woman that I ended up blocking, and it was regarding the nursing board and all that. And she had made a comment, and it didn't dawn on me till after. Um, she said, "Yeah, they are phasing you nurses out because we're not any good." And then she went on to say this happened to her son, that happened to her son. The nurses were horrible. I mean, I've heard this from many patients. What people don't understand, and I'm not justifying, but she was putting everything like every nurse is bad. Where people don't ever put the responsibility though is on the leadership. And the leadership at the immediate level has little power because it's a monopoly. The hospitals are monopolized. So everything comes from the top. They used to have control. Managers used to have control over their units. It's not like that anymore. I mean, there's a manager, but they don't have the control like they used to. So when you cut nursing staff, yes, you are going to get bad nurses. I'm not saying that's an excuse for it, but the responsibility gets put on the nurse, and it's like, look higher. That I'm calling out the nursing professional organizations and the nursing board because they're responsible for this. They've done it on purpose. And I believe what this woman is saying is right. They do want to phase out American nurses. They want this international thing. They don't care about American nurses. They hate America. These are people that hate America. I mean, even Donald Trump has said that about these people that aligned with globalism. They hate America. So, of course, they would hate American nurses, and they want to bring in foreign nurses. My point is, though, that they want the trafficked labor. They already do this in nursing homes. I said a long time ago that my very first, well, I don't even consider it my first job. It was a nursing home. Nursing homes are hard to work as a nurse. And it was my first job, and I had like 52 patients. I was like, I didn't make it through 2 days. Um, I definitely had no experience to take that on, but all the nurses there, I forget what country they were from. The Philippines. They were all Filipino. They looked unhappy, and then they had they looked at me like I was the enemy. But they I heard one of them say something about that it wasn't a work visa, but they were on some contract. It was, I think it was, looking back, I didn't know about indentured servitude until, learning about trafficking. And I think that's why that whole nursing home was, I think they were in indentured servitude, because they all traveled to their jobs together. They stayed at the same location, and it would make sense. That's why they looked so unhappy. They probably were getting paid very little, and maybe were brought here and didn't want to be here, but they were trafficked here. And then they get here and they got to complete the 2 years or whatever they can, um, or whatever is being demanded of them. And so they're quiet. They don't say much, which is another red flag. Um, and they're also not very good nurses. And I'm not saying because of that. I'm not saying because of their culture. I'm saying because if you traffic somebody, they're not going to give good care. They're under constant fear. So it only makes sense that they're not going to be providing the best care. But our very nursing professionals at the top, they're not considering that. There didn't have to be a nurse shortage, and there isn't one. It's manufactured. They won't hire for the positions because the people they want to hire for those positions are people they can pay less. This woman also went on to say, yeah, it's because you guys ask for too much money. She was saying like $100 an hour. I've never made more than like $55, $60, and that's was like one assignment traveling. So I don't know. I maybe some nurses make that. I have no idea. But it was disturbing because I thought she's right in a way, because that's what they want to do, is phase the American nurses out. And the thing is, there wouldn't have to be a problem. I don't think most nurses get into it for the money. It's not like the money's that great. Um, and not for the amount of bullshit you have to deal with. And I don't mean from patients. I mean the hospital politics and all that. But I think most nurses get into it because they want to help people, and then we've been taken away from not even being able to do that. They've overstressed the Nursing Credentialing Board, your professional organizations, your unions and hospitals have all worked together, and it's all been designed to take down America, bring in cheaper labor, and screw the American nurses because they're globalists. They hate America. The Nursing Council of Nursing Board in this country hates this country, so they would of course hate American nurses, much like this commenter did. And yet you're not looking at the fact that if they staffed, it's not even just staffing, if they stopped playing all their games, if they stopped having so many regulations on what you can and can't do, like just let nurses help their patients. Just don't overwhelm them with so much bullshit, so much continuing education, like that you have to do monthly, that they overburden you, they stress you out on purpose. And then you see all these articles of nurses saying, I'm burnt out, I can't handle it, especially during COVID. And COVID didn't have to be what it was. All of the people of science, along with our nursing professional organizations, they ramped that up. They were such fear mongers. They were manipulators. Everything they did was unethical. It still is outright unethical. So they deliberately caused the stress and the nurses to quit because they needed them to quit so they could have their manufactured crisis and then can claim we need universal health care. We need to go into this global agenda, which they knew they were already planning to do from years ago. And see, now we have to have migrant nurses. We have to have mobility of migration. And the fact is, these people are traitors to this country. I mean, at the very least, they should lose their license. But I think they should go to jail, destroying people's lives. None of this had to happen. No nurses had to be stressed out during COVID. They were, because we were having a double mask and do this, and the continual fear-mongering of the hospitals, the news, the nursing organizations. I mean, even to this day, okay, your university hospitals, even your local hospitals, your ones that aren't made. If you want to go here, let me just say, if you want to go to a good hospital, go to one that's not magnet. Not to say the other ones aren't. It's just there's some that if you're at a hospital where it's not magnet and you have a CEO that's not going along with all the political nonsense, and I think there's a couple out there that are smaller ones. Those are the better hospitals. They are, because how long those hospitals will be able to hold out without being under enough pressure to go along with the global agenda, I don't know, but there is some. And I would say, I think that hospitals that are not magnet are better. I just do. Magnet is just a ploy to get the hospital CEOs money. Extra funding, it means nothing. No matter what they say about Edge, it just doesn't. But if the people that are at the tops of these organizations were held accountable for once, instead of it being, oh, the nurses are all burned out, that's what they wanted. They deliberately burnt nurses out. The American nurses, our very own profession, sold us out so they could have their damn global agenda. For once in the history of nursing, the people that should be held accountable are the CEOs of the hospital and every nursing professional organization at the top and the credentialing board. If they were doing the right things, if they were ethical, then none of this would be happening.